right now I wanted to take an opportunity to just talk with our dear friend Nini. For those of you who don't know, Nini is a huge help to us. She is our prayer coordinator, prayer warrior, and yes, and other duties as assigned.
Yes.
And I want to brag on her for a little bit if I can. Will you let me?
Go ahead.
Okay, here I go. She also just has such a huge capacity to love. And one thing that I've known Nini for several years now, but a couple years ago, God just really placed on her sister's heart, which spilled into being her responsibility. But it was a way that God just moved on her what his desire was for her. And when we talk week in and week out about what does it mean to be purposed in Christ, and what does it mean for us to spend this time that we are single, serving God and serving others, Nini comes to mind. And so I just want to share a little bit. A couple of years ago, her sister went on a missions trip to Argentina, and what she came back with was the need to do something here to impact children, and signed her and Nini up.
Yes.
It was a bulk effort to be licensed for foster care. And yes. So very shortly after that, they were given 2 precious little handfuls.
Something like that.
And I just want to share these 2 boys. I believe at the time they were 3 and 1.5, 2.
We got them at 2 and 3.5.
Okay, and when they came in, they came to Sunday school and didn't know a lot about behaving in public, and didn't know a lot about healthy habits, and were kind of disheveled, bless their little hearts, and just very shy. And if you've not been to a service at City of Grace, and we'd invite you to come, but they were the center of attention from the time they walked in, and to see the transformation of when they got to go back to their parents was a night and day transformation. And it was such a testament to what God had done in their lives, but how God had used Nini, who again by proxy was a mom to them, to raise them up out of the situation they were in and actually allow them to go back home to mended parents. And it was just an amazing situation. So then that goes one step further. They were asked to take on another little boy who again showed a lot of signs of neglect and delay, and it just very obvious to even myself, who's not really well trained with children. And it was within a matter of months, you just see this little boy blossom. And if you ever get a chance, he's over in his childcare right now with his sister. But you would not know that there was a time in his life where he didn't know that he was loved. And I just want to honor you, Nini. I know we weren't quite expecting this little turn, but when we talk about what it means to love people to life, that's what Nini does day in and day out. And yes,
Thank you. I appreciate the applause, but it kind of embarrasses me because I don't do it for that. I do it because I see hurting people and they need help. And when Jen talks about the kids that we've had, I mean, they were a mess. And the 2 that we have now, Alyssa, she doesn't know anything but us, so she's a happy clam. But Adam, when he came to us, he was afraid to sleep and afraid that if you even tried to touch him when he was sleeping, he would cringe and curl into a ball. He had nightmares when he was 6 months old. It was horrible. And to see the transformation of what God's love can do to people, it's fascinating, it's astounding, and it is so such a privilege to be a part of that.
Well, the thing that I had actually really asked Nini to come up for, sorry, I was not a sucker punch there, I didn't mean that. But I asked her to come up and talk about this very trip that transformed her life, the life of her sister, and then her life instead. She will be joining many of the others who are going on the trip in August to Argentina. Yes, we're very excited. That was confirmed this week.
Yes.
And I just wanted, I know that you've been there before, but I just want, first of all, to share a little bit about what is it, I mean, clearly you have a mission project that you're doing right here at home. What is it that draws your heart back to Argentina?
Well, I love kids. That's evident in what I do. And I love to be involved in seeing kids' lives transformed. And from the time that my sister went to Argentina until this trip that I'm going, it's always been about kids. Even the building project that I went on was about building a place for kids to come and have a camp and a place to stay, because they don't have, I mean, what we don't have here, what our kids don't get here, it's magnified there. There are kids that are getting beaten, there are kids left in the street, all kinds of just travesties that happen there, and their government doesn't do as much as ours does. So I like to not only work here, but to go out to other places where I can extend the reach of my dollar and help even more people.
That's awesome. Now, so when you went before, it was a building project, and I know that when people go on missions trips, a lot of the time we think about how we're going to help other people. Tell me a little bit about maybe the impact that God or even one of the children had on your life.
Every trip that I've been on has had an impact on me. It's changed my life. It's the reason that I want to keep going, to be able to see other people's lives transform, but then to have them speak into your life. Because we as Americans often think, because we have a more affluent culture, that we're the ones speaking into their lives. But often what I've realized is that they see things at a different level than we do, and they're able to speak back into our lives, things that we would have never thought of. And I think the most impactful thing last time was to be able to just interact with all of the kids at the churches when we went out to the churches, and to hear their stories, and to see, just to hear what they had to say, and to see how blessed they were that we cared about them enough to come and see them and to visit them. It meant so much to them, and it was so little to us. I mean, we didn't even do anything for some of them, and still they were just so happy that we were there. And that was important for me.
What would you say are some things that you're looking forward to in this trip?
Ooh, I am looking forward to being able to not only help children this time, but we're also going to do some of the trainers for the teachers. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun, because then we get to have a lasting impact and a legacy there in Argentina. So I think that's going to be exciting.
That's great. So now I have to ask, what happens with the kids while you're gone?
My mom's watching the kids, so.
She's a superhero.
She's gonna have some help, thank God. She is 65 years old, and my babies are 9 months and 21 months, so I wouldn't do that to her at all. So she's gonna have a preschool teacher that we know come and stay with her and help her with the kids.
So while you're away, what are some things that we can be praying for you, I guess for the trip, and actually for you and the kids too?
Well, let's do the trip first. Let's pray that God will use this trip to really impact the lives of thousands of children in Argentina, because that's what the purpose of the school is to impact those lives, to see them won for Christ, and that's what we're going down to help support. So let's believe with us that that's what's going to happen, that God is going to work through this school, continue to work through this school, and these kids are going to grow up and be mighty warriors for God. That's my prayer. For my kids, we have a court date coming up at some point. We don't know when, but I just pray that if you would believe with me that the judge would have the wisdom of Solomon when he decides for this case, and that the will of God would go forth for these children, because they are precious kids and they have such a unique call of God on their lives already. And so I'm just so excited to be a part of that. And I just want you guys to pray with me that whatever happens, that God will protect them and keep them, and that call will go forth, and they will be the men and women of God that they're created to be.
Absolutely, and amen. So I know not all of us can join, especially I think the application closed this week for Argentina. Right. What are some other options that we have for either ministry, missions, outreach right here?
Awesome. Well, first of all, I would love, if you are interested in doing missions or outreach at all, please talk to Renee, because Renee is in charge of our outreach, and she is wonderful at it. She stays with her finger on the pulse. She is the woman for the job. Also, for all the men in the house, I'm just going to big up Pastor George's trip to Mexico. The building trip that we did in Argentina was so unique and so powerful that I would encourage all of you. They are building a home in Mexico this year. And if you're interested, please talk to Pastor Katie, to Renee, to Pastor George. Get involved, though. It is such a great opportunity for you to grow, for you to see God do extremely awesome things, and for you to relate and fellowship with other people.
That's awesome. And yeah, we've got, just even this weekend, got an opportunity up at Habitat for Humanity's Restore. And next month, I believe, is when we're going to Feed My Starving Children again. So again, thank you, Renee, and be sure to talk with her on how you can be involved in what we are doing throughout our community and around the world. Thank you, Nini.
Thank you.